Alrighty. Oh shit! I don't have my face cam on. Hold on a second. Shit. I had to switch to OBS for a moment because it says that my API isn't... My daily API has been exceeded, although I have no idea what that means. So I have to wait until midnight PST tomorrow, hopefully. Hell, hold on a second. I don't think I can use facecam in this. So, hell, man. Shit, what did I do? Remove. Yes. I don't think I can use facecam in OBS right now. Or at least I don't know how to. So we're just gonna have to suffice with not seeing me for a day. Although I think that's totally fine with everybody. Okay. So let me inform the masses right now that I'm streaming. Alrighty. Okie dokie. We are okay. I don't know who's watching me right now. So, hello. I think it might be a friend. Can't be too sure. So, right now, I will show recap because people might not know what I'm doing. So I guess while we're waiting for Steam to update, what I'm playing is a game called Cinderella Phenomenon, and right now, let me just recap the story. There are two crystals, Crystallum lucis and Crystallum lucib tenebrarum, and one is good for one feels with anger and sadness and despair and all that kind of stuff, and then the other one is filled with love and stuff. The tenebrarum is the negative one. Okay, hold on. I said this to a friend. Then there was an author by the names of Hans Grimm who wrote stories. He always made the witches evil. This pissed off the witches to a great extent, so they made something called the fairy tale curse. Their reasoning was, if we can't have our happily ever afters, you won't get to either. So when there was a war between the fairies and the witches, because there was no longer a balance between light and dark, and now we're to the present with the heroine Lucette. I named her Calisto because you know. In short, she's a bitch. She's arrogant, spoiled, and most of all, cold. She's the princess of the kingdom, of course, because with a name like Lucette. Holy hell, this is super fucking loud, man. Maybe not to you guys, but just like blaring to me. There too. Oh, hello, Bee. And Patchlock. Hello. I think this might be you guys watching me. Okay. Her mother taught these things when she was little, not to trust anyone, not to show weakness, because people would exploit her. People would exploit that. People only were kind to you because of your money, etc. So she kept all of these morals when her mother died, and she has two step-siblings, Emmeline and Rod. Rod also has a curse in which he's mute, hint hint, and so she's just been super rude to her new family, and her father doesn't really care about her anymore because, you know, we later learned out that her mother was the witch, which was the tenebrarum bearer, and so she married the king because the king was under the threat that she was going to kill his loved one, which was her stepmother, Ophelia. Oh, hello! Haha. Okay, I know who you are now. And so, yeah, that's pretty dark. And right now, she got the fairy tale curse. She has Cinderella's curse, hence the name Cinderella Phenomenon, in which she has to do 3 good deeds. She has already done one, which was offer help to her stepsister, in which she was like a bitch to, because, you know, she's always been a bitch. I hope you guys can hear me fine. Yeah, I hope it isn't too loud. And so, we're on Rod's route right now because, you know, I like Rod. He's a silent tsundere. What happened last time, if I remember correctly, where we left off, we were gonna watch him dance because, you know, we haven't actually seen him dance besides the time in which we were teaching Emmeline a step sequence. And so we were just dancing together, and then he accidentally slipped out, "You have really beautiful eyes." And then he just left. I mean, I would do the same, and I found it beautiful. So that's where we left off. Well, let's hope this is the one. God damn it. It's doing a Tekken thing where it just colors red. Fuck. By the way, I opened a bubblegum, so I'm not gonna be chewing it right now, but, you know, I have the taste in my mouth. I should probably go get water. I should have probably gotten water before the stream because I talk for hours on end, but, you know. Today's the first time that I'm leaving the palace on a day off. Usually I choose to stay inside. So right now what she's doing is that she's trying to figure out a way to help, Rod's curse, because he got it around the same time that, his childhood friend that he was in love with got into a relationship, and then he got his fairy tale curse. So we can only assume that Viorica, which is his childhood friend, has something to do with the curse. And so she's going out to talk with Viorica on her day off. So, I hope that makes sense. Whereas the other servants always leave to go home, I never see any reason to leave since this has always been my home. And the Martian has never been home. Besides, it is not as if I want to return, not after that conversation we all shared last time. Thus, I've spent most of my days asking the questions about Mother's reign and querying when and where I can. The opinions do not surprise me. I was so scared of her. One wrong move and she'd have you thrown in prison. What the hell, man? The townsfolk would always wait for her to pass by before leaving their houses. She was a tyrant. The kingdom is a better place now that she's gone. There's no reason for them to lie to me. The more I hear, the more my old life makes sense to me. I now know why the king never seemed to love Mother and why the people hated her, and the reason people looked at me with such fear. However, it has been months since I've been glared at in the public. If there is one good thing that this curse did for me, is that it allows for me to travel around town without being noticed. As Viorica's shop comes into view, my thoughts shift to the reason why I'd left the palace in the first place. If Rod will not tell me do anything... What the fuck? If Rod will not tell me anything, I will have to ask Viorica. She must be related in some way to his curse. I pause outside the door to the toy shop. With a deep breath, I push the door open. Welcome! The moment she sees me, her expression becomes confused. Oh, you're the princess's maid. Calisto, wasn't it? I nodded her. You've never come in here alone before. What can I help you with? I wanted to ask you something. It's about Prince Rod. Prince Rod? Did something happen to him? Is he okay? He's fine. She sighs with relief. I just realized she has freckles. Ah, yeah, that's awesome. Then what is it would you like to ask? I just wanted to know if you knew anything about Prince Rod's sudden muteness. Viorica stares at me for a few moments before she shakes her head. I only know that it happened soon after I met my fiancé, Desmond. What reason do you have for asking? Well, I try to think of a plausible explanation for this, and I immediately consider Emmeline. Viorica is Emmeline's best friend. Surely she would be willing to help if she knew I was doing this for Emmeline. Prince Rod has been very quiet recently. Princess Emmeline has been worried sick about him, but refused to say anything, even to her. I've been trying to gather information that might be helpful in discerning the cause. I stare at her expectantly, hoping that my gaze holds nothing but determination. Finally, Viorica smiles.
She's lucky to have a dedicated friend like you. I'm still not accustomed to the fact that Emmeline considers me a friend. Before she became the princess, I was her confidant. We were like sisters. But now that she's living in the castle, we no longer have the luxury of spending so much time together. I worry about her constantly. Even around me, Em always tended to keep her problems to herself at first. She doesn't like to bother other people with them. It is not hard to agree. It's just hard not to agree. With the way Emmeline was always smiling before, I never thought she had any problems in her life. It was only recently that I discovered that she was hiding all her loneliness and pain behind a smile. It's a relief that she's befriended someone who cares so much about her. I don't know if I can be much help, but I'll tell you what I know if it will help Emmeline. To start with, I'm not exactly sure how everything changed, but it all happened so suddenly. All I know is that after the night I met Desimond, our relationship changed. At first he still smiled, but recently he's been avoiding me. What happened between the two of you in the night you met your fiancé? Nothing. Rod and I did not meet on that day. Prince Rod wasn't there? No, but soon after what happened that night, Rod grew distant. What happened? It was a stormy night, and I was heading back home. I took the route by the riverbank because it was the shortest route. It was foolish of me. The road was slippery and full of mud. I lost my footing and fell into the river. The waves were strong, and I was certain I was going to drown. I don't remember what happened in the darkness of the light, only that when I woke up, my head was in Desimond's lap. That was the first time we met, but not the last. He carried me home, and he came by every day as I was recovering. That reminds me of a manga that I read about the Little Mermaid. Ha! Ha! And then he came to visit me even after I had recovered. I tried not to get my hopes up too much, because look at this nobleman seeing me, a mere commoner. I still ended up falling in love with him, though. You have no idea how happy I was when he said he loved me too. It was a dream come true. Of course every girl's dream of marrying a prince. Oh, of course every girl dreams of marrying a prince. It was in all of the fairy tales that I read as a child. Bro, I married a reaper, and then I married a skeleton, and I married a ghost. Yeah, I think, oh wait, I've already married princes. Yeah. None of that was at all related to Rod. How does this relate to his curse? You said your relationship with Prince Rod changed after that night. What happened? Fiorca sighs. I told Em and Rod about Desimond soon after the incident. Em was happy that the two of us had fallen in love, but Rod didn't say much of anything. That was when I noticed he started growing distant, and when I realized that he had also lost his voice. He still won't tell me anything, but I figured that he was... Her voice fades out, but I know that she's referring to the curse. So Rod lost his voice shortly after Fiorca met Desimond. The mermaid's curse might have something to do with the tale. The fact that she fell into a river and then got saved by a nobleman, that might have something to do with it. The little mermaid traded her voice for legs so that she could be with her prince, but that night, the only person who found their prince charming was Fiorca. Rod's curse might have something to do with Desimond and Fiorca. He became distant with her after finding out about Desimond. Why? And there is the fact that he still spoke to Fiorca, even if he was distant. It was only when he found out about their wedding that he became so cold. I frowned as I tried to organize my thoughts. How did it get to be this late? I'm so sorry, Calisto, but I have to close the shop now. Sorry for the story. I know it has nothing to do with Rob, but after that incident, he began to start acting strangely. I don't think I was much help, but I shake my head. You have told me what you could. Fiorca walks me to the door, opening it so that the both of us can step on the street together. I really hope that you're able to help Emmeline and Rod. I really like that they changed the color to fit the background, because it really bothers me in some visual novels where they keep the sprites the exact same during the daytime, during the night, and I'm like, that's not how light works. Hell, I hope so too. Did you see Ophelia the other day? I catch sight of two noblewomen sitting on a bench together not too far away from the toy shop. They're referring to Ophelia without a title. How disrespectful. Who would have thought a peasant like her could almost look like royalty? But her dress, as the queen, she ought to be wearing silks rather than satin. I don't know why, but I bristle at their comments. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the fact that they are speaking so bluntly in public means that they have little worry of being overheard. I'm still not sure what the king saw in her. Well, you know what they say about ladies lacking natural beauty. Her talents must lie in other, more persuasive areas. She must be very persuasive indeed if the king saw it worthwhile to marry her. As the two women laugh, I feel something hot begin to burn in my stomach. Fiorika takes a sharp breath beside me. Since I became a maid in the palace, Ophelia has been nothing but kind to me, a mere servant. She has all the right to flaunt her status and title, yet she remains humble. I know that this is why everyone at the palace loves her. Oh, I now know why. Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, maybe it's just like the name and the knight at the end of it in lowercase, not even, you know. Common woman like her can only keep a man's attention for so long. I start walking towards them without thinking. Calisto, you have no right to say those things about the queen. The two women are clearly surprised at my interruption. Both of them glare at me. And you have no right to eavesdrop on us. Eavesdropping? Anyone could have heard you. Their mouths fall open. One of the women looks at me for a long time, then sneers suddenly as if something had occurred to her. I thought you looked familiar. This is the Crown Prince's personal maid. I see you always following her around when she's in town. This is none of your business, girl. Why do you care so much for our opinions? Ah, perhaps it's because the girl idolizes the queen. She thinks she might also go from rags to riches. What? Oh, you do have a point. The standard advanced towards me. Do you want the prince for yourself, girl? If a commoner can become a queen, it's not too difficult to imagine yourself as a princess, is it? How foolish. You're better off... I can't keep their voices in check. You're better off dreaming smaller dreams, girl. They laugh and the irritation in my chest blazes into full-on anger. Is this what Ophelia has been dealing with for the past year?
Stop pausing.
Why are you in my room? Can't you read?
No. Sorry.
I'm taking him. Hold on, my mom has a cat in the room. Oh, you can take him, I guess. Why do you squish him?
I get the AirPod. No, I have to eat it. And we'll probably do this. Leave me! Hey, I'm not doing anything to get the pie, you jerk. Fuck off. I've had a bad day. What the fuck is your problem?
Look at my cat. She's just over here being like, you have dangly things on your mask. What can kill them? Show some doctor. He's my opinion. You can take a mask, right?
Stop giving me the AirPod. You're gonna give me the AirPod, bitch.
This
Take
is
it.
how my mom
You're gonna
treats
love it.
cats. It's not the best.
AirPod. I mean, he was giving me the AirPod. Look at this.
Taking his tail. Leave me.
Shut up.
Just take the cats. Get out of my room. Okay, you can't take my tabby, but you can take Dobby and Puzzly. I like to snuggle from time to time.
I'm just waiting for my mother to leave right now. Mom, get out! I'm playing Minecraft!
Okay, I'm leaving.
Bubblegum? A bubblegum bitch flavored gum. That comment is glorious. Okay. She's out. Yay. You know, I just realized I could just take off my mask because I don't have my face cam on, but you know what? I'm gonna do that. Hold on a second. I normally wear a mask during stream. I have glasses, by the way, so I can't wear a mask and glasses, so I have to sacrifice my glasses when I'm playing games, but otherwise I use my glasses. But that's fine because I can see without my glasses. I'm nearsighted. Okay. This music is super dramatic, man. Okay. Alright, there we go. I don't need to look at that. She's being treated so cruelly when she has done nothing but love the king. And I also ridiculed her just like this. I forced myself to look at the cruel woman as I moved my hand to my pendant on my neck. Where did I... Helping gum fell on the floor! No! It's a good piece of gum and then it fell. Fuck. I was just as cruel as them. I really feel Viorica's hand as she rested against my shoulder. Calisto, let it go. Her Majesty wouldn't want you to do this. But I cannot just let these two women talk about Ophelia like this. I pull away from Viorica and stand firm. The Queen has a good heart. She's far more noble than either of you ever hoped to be. I think back on the times I was cruel to her. Ophelia could have easily reprimanded me for my behavior. She had that right as my stepmother, yet she has been nothing but kind to me. Ophelia never got angry at me, even despite my treatment towards her and my family. And her family. She's always treated others with kindness, even when they're cruel to her. Judging from the bitterness in your accusations, it seems like you were jealous of her. How pathetic. The other woman marches towards me, and my free hand instinctively moves to hold her hand just before her palm reaches my cheek. I will not tolerate any insults toward the Queen. A soft light emanates from the pendant, and I can only stare at it in shock. Yay! Whoop! I got a new, good deed. I got another good deed? By defending Ophelia? The noblewoman snatches her hand away. How dare a peasant like you talk that way to us? Have you no manners? I could ask you the same. What happened to yours? How dare you? Don't you know who we are, girl? I will see you pay for your impertinence. Our words have far more weight than yours ever will. I will go to the king myself and tell him how rude you were. I can pass on that message myself. I turn and see Rod walking towards us, his expression cold. The two noblewomen hastily curtsy. Your Highness! The noblewomen turn pale as Rod's eyes fall on them. Actually, we have an important dinner engagement. Yes, we do. The two noblewomen curtsy before quickly departing. What are you doing here without your guards? What trouble have you gotten yourself into now? Tell the boy, tell him. Those women were insulting the Queen. I thought a lecture was in order. Oh, but everyone is entitled to their opinion. What? I narrow my eyes at him. Something like this can't be helped. Bad rumors are unavoidable. Rod looks away, his expression suddenly pained. This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't pushed for it. Rod never finishes the sentence. He clears his throat before looking at us again. What was he going to say? We shouldn't keep you from returning home, Viorica. My voice isn't soft right now. I'll take Calisto back to the palace. Viorica's eyes narrow, and she looks ready to say something, but Rod has already reached out for my hand to pull me along behind him. My eyes narrow as I recognize the path we're on. This is not the way back to the palace. No, it isn't. We're going to the Martian. Why?
because I was on my way there before I first to take a detour because someone was drawing attention to herself. What? But Rod ignores me as we walk the rest of the way to the march in before in silence. What the hell? Okay. There are multiple noble women in this game, and I can only imagine that they're all the same. I don't know Henry. I feel like I should, being a part of PK's server, but I'm pretty sure that's not him. Watts is the only person in the reception room when we enter. Prince Rod? Princess? It's a little late for the two of you to be here. I'd meant to be here earlier. Is Lady Parfait here? Watts nods. I'll go get her. Wait here. As soon as Watts leaves us alone, Rod turns to me, his expression rigid. Rod steps closer and grabs my shoulders. What the hell, man? I wasn't able to say so earlier because we were out in public, but you should know how much danger you're in now, and yet you thought it was okay to go around on your own. I was my day off today. It's not unreasonable for me to want time to myself. Time to yourself? Don't you understand the meaning of be careful? Why would you do something as so foolish to go out in town alone? I cannot help but bristle at his tone. Why are you so angry? Because you're... Rod trails off and looks away. Because you're family. So you're finally acknowledging me as family. Ha! Families. I notice his cheeks turning red. To be honest, you're left with a family member and more than just important. God damn it, Rod, why are you like this? Important? Because of all that you do for Emmeline. You're important to my sister. Yeah, sure! He looks uncomfortable as he says the words, but I cannot help but marvel at his embarrassment. Why is he so embarrassed? God damn it, why is my side hurting every time I laugh? But Rod changes the topic as he turns away from me. Why were you with Viorka? I can only think of one reason you'd speak to her. My curse. You thought you'd find out about my curse through her? Fuck. I shrug. I can only assume that your curse has something to do with Viorka. I look up when Rod says something and then stare at the curious sight before me. He has taken Sebby off his shoulder and is holding it all in his hands, away from his face. The two seem to be engaged in some silent conversation. Then gently, Sebby speaks words I can hear.
This is the right thing to do. You need to let her help you, Rod.
Rod bites down on his lower lip before briefly closing his eyes. Eventually, he returns Sebby to his usual spot on his shoulder and turns to me. Fine. You're stubborn and you're not going to quit investigating unless I tell you, are you? You're right. Viorka's the reason I was cursed. Rod sits down on the settee and lets out a heavy sigh. His eyes are far away as he speaks to me. I was in love with Viorka, but I wasn't brave enough to tell her. I just followed her around like some sort of puppy. One day Viorka hadn't come home and it was raining very heavily, so I went out to look for her. I found her walking along the bank of a river. I called out to her to tell her to be careful, but I don't think she ever heard me. She slipped in. Rod swallows. He clenches one of his hands into a fist. She fell into the river. I dived in after her. I somehow managed to get both of us onto the riverbank, but it didn't look like Viorka was breathing. I didn't know what to do. I started panicking. I ran out to try and find help, but I couldn't find anyone in the storm. When I returned, she was gone. I rushed her to the house, and a doctor was already there tending to her along with Desamond. Rod's gaze is vacant as he nods. When Viorka began to fall in love with Desamond, I felt helpless. Did you not tell her that you were the one that saved her? Why would I? Viorka was so happy believing that she and Desamond were fated to be together. I couldn't do that for her. But surely if you told her... Rod interrupts me. I want the people I love to be happy. I don't care if their happiness causes me pain. I'd rather bear that alone instead of bringing down those around me. My chest aches as I watch Rod's face. I never would have guessed that Rod would be so selfless. But that didn't stop me from thinking that I could still make her love me instead. I decided to become what I thought Viorka wanted most, Prince Charming of the fairy tales she so adored.
and so I asked a witch to turn me into one. She stole my voice in exchange. Only then did I realize that she had inflicted the fairy tale curse upon me, the mermaid's curse. The next day, the king turned up at our house, proclaiming that he'd been looking for my mother for years and that he'd never stopped loving her.
Oh!
When the king married my mother, I became a prince. I was just as the witch promised. But it didn't matter. I didn't see it when I made the deal with the witch, but I couldn't be blind to it forever. Desmond and Viorica really do love each other. They make each other happy. Nothing I can do will ever change that. But
Prince Rod?
Oh!
Oh!
Don't you give me that idea. She could probably cut through steel. I would used to. It'd be a thank you note. Okay, me too. Hold on a second. Let me go get some water because my voice is slowly degrading into nothingness.
Ah!
Be right back. Okay, this is very off topic, but literally the most annoying thing right now in my household is that my brother has like an obsession with waffles, and he lives up in the room right next to me, and so I always smell the fucking syrup on the waffles. He also brings the waffles into the bathroom, so there's like syrup on the counter and everything. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Also, I'm out of breath right now. They absorbed it. My soul died 16 years ago with my birth. Oh yeah, I forgot you're 16. Real? Hey, did I put? Oh, I didn't.
Well,
Hold on a second. This is rule 6, I think. What the fuck? Does it? I think it was just plaid, man. Yeah, it's plaid, man. 6. 5. Please use he, him pronouns to address yours truly. Thanks. I got I got water. You can't see my water because I don't have my heckin' stream on. But you know. Alrighty, I'm alive.
Oh,
Parfait pauses in her tracks when she sees me.
have I interrupted something?
No. Rod moves over to Parfait, but he stops to glance back at me. I won't be long. Parfait looks at Rod and then at me, her face puzzled, but she does not say a word as Rod and her leave the room. Don't you dare fucking eavesdrop, man. Yeah, you are! You get out of here! Please don't actually leave. I didn't get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Alcaster. Days go by, but I still find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. By the way, I highly recommend... I highly recommend looking at the other streams, so you know exactly what everything says. Because I can only give you so much context. So pretty much what's happening is that there's a ball. There's a ball going to be happening. And, Calisto's stepsister, Emmeline, I keep on forgetting people's names, will be... I mean, I can understand that. Emmeline's sister has to find a suitor. If not, it's just mandatory in tradition that you have at least one big ball so you could find a suitor that you love. And she's kind of like, I don't know how I would be able to marry someone that I don't love. Because she still needs to get used to being, you know, a whole princess and everything. Because it's only been a year that she's been a princess. Oh my god. It's heckin' Sarah playing games. I'm arrested by the fashion police because I always dress like fucking weird, man. Like, seriously, I wear a vest every day, like a cocoa brown vest, when it's still snowing outside. I sometimes don't even wear long sleeves with said vest when it's like -35 outside or something. It's not. That's sarcasm, but you know. And people are like, why the hell? And I'm like, it's spring! Oh, not to wear, I wear sweatpants every day. Something like that. Calisto has the fairy tale curse, so... Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcaster. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they are looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I have not heard anyone mention his name here for a very long time. I'm forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I had been holding scattered over the floor. Excuse me, I did not. I look up and my voice trails off to see who I bumped into. Lost in your thoughts? Sir Mithros looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the linens the queen asked for. Yes, please excuse me. How have you not suspected this little snaky bitch? He's the heckin' witch. I see. It's, Oh, I just realized you're probably in Australia, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. I think you are. I forgot. Anyways, I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mithros picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I will be fine, but this was partially my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mithros helps me gather the rest of the linens. Linens. I don't know why I keep looking. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mithros has been talking. I don't suppose you have any idea on who that maid is. Maid? There's a cool amusement in Sir Miss Rose's gaze. Surely you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with royal maids somewhere around town. Rumor has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod with a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid that has been out in town has been... I freeze as Sir Mithras straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me. If it is true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mithras as he inclines his head to me. Have a good day, Calisto. I walk to the dining table in a haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mithras had said. I'm sure it was those noble women who spread this rumor. Ah, Calisto, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. So weird that this music is still playing. If that is all... Calisto. I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression is carefully still. I'm about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, no! I think one day I had my voice constantly stuck to this and I couldn't get it out. And so my vocal cords were just like closing up and I'm like, fuck. And so I couldn't use any other heckin' voice. Like, it fucking sucked, man. Okay. I will answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands in her lap. I've been trying to ignore it since Palace gossip was mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in the town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? I think I'll explain the situation. If Ophelia is asking me about these rumors, then I can only imagine what kind of story those women made up. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noble women, he stopped to intervene, that is all. Rod said the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Highness, Your Majesty, to see what you thought about the situation? I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod? I like you, Calisto, and I'm saying, yay! I've just been honest this whole run, and it's worked, so I go with my gut instinct. Yeah, I feel you. Like, tomorrow I have to go to the 3rd floor of my high school, and it's like the desert up there, so I have to dress like I have to like run and stuff, dress for summer. And then I also have to go to the gym afterwards, so it's just kind of, you know, I just realized, is that like a part of her outfit, or is that just her collarbone right there? Like, I'm not sure. What the hell? You know, I thought that this was like netting on her outfit. No, it's her collarbone. It's just shading. I didn't realize that. So yeah. Hold on a second. But how you said campus, I'm pretty sure you might be at a university. Yeah, I'm still in high school. I'm not sure though. I like you, Calisto, and I'm certain that you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I would let him court you. I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status doesn't stop you from being happy, Calisto. And what about the fact that I'm Rod's stepsister? Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah! I thought it was part of the dress too, and then I realized, wait a second. I bat down on that statement fiercely. I already know what role I am playing here, and I cannot break it. I thought my mom was at my door being like, shut the fuck up. Because I know she would do that. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I will not push you on this any further. But be careful, Calisto. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe the limiting
relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move towards the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I'm waiting outside the throne room for Emmeline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me. Ah, man, it's these. Calisto, wasn't it? What is it? I have already finished all my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so that you could hang around with the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can avoid time to play around, I blink at them, confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmeline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. Oh, I see. I'm graduating in 2020, so... Yay! Or hopefully I don't get held back. Be careful not to get too big for your boots, Calisto. Are you threatening me? What if we are? Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Oh, then I'd be very disappointed in you. This is Emmeline, by the way. Princess Emmeline! Emmeline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face. I did not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Your Highness. You really do have talent for getting yourself in trouble. Yay! I thought he was here too. Vaude. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids. Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid? We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way. Oh, sure you apologize. The two maids run off. Emmeline turns to look at me. Are you okay? I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us. I frown at his back. He'd only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I do not exist. What did I do? Emmeline puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward. You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes. Emmeline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open. I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while. What? She disappears into the throne room before it can finish. Hold on a second. Ugh. Sorry, I needed to crack my neck. Okay, that's a mood. Like, I can look at my first cover and be like, what the hell, man? Like, I don't even want to look at it again and be like, I want to recover this, although I've already recovered it like 2 times. I glance down at the hallway Rod has disappeared down, and then back at the throne room. My thoughts whirl in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait! At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He skulls but does not say anything. I'm just gonna say nothing. I feel abruptly tongue-tied when I come face to face with him. It's likely that my telling him off will result in some kind of altercation. That will not be good. What? I have better things to do than be gaped at. Rod turns away from me. I'm left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he's not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dulled ache somewhere, throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. What is this? Why do I feel sad? Why don't you tell him about your good deed, man? Normally Rod's distance does not make me feel like this. And yet now, am I really so sad that he does not want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It's better not to think about it. You could have told him about that you got a good deed. Chapter 8, The Ball. Finally! Hold on a second. It's been 8 heckin' chapters since we started talking about the ball. Actually, I think it's been 7. Because the first chapter, or the prologue in chapter 1, were kind of went hand in hand, because it was talking about how she was being a bitch, and then she got cursed, and then it was kind of like getting accustomed to it, and then chapter 3 is when she became a maid. Okay, I think I understand again. It's the day of the ball, and I'm waiting for Emmeline to finish her last dance rehearsal. The lesson was over an hour ago, but Emmeline remains here to continue practicing the steps. Meanwhile, I'm preoccupied with thoughts on Rod's curse. I cannot believe that Rod traded his voice for a title. So the reason the king was able to find Ophelia was because of Rod. It is a little difficult to wrap my head around the implications, but one thing bothers me. Rod told me why he has the curse, but he gave no explanation as to how to break it. I'm wondering what'll happen once he breaks the curse. Will he just go back to being a commoner? How did it go in the original fairy tale? Emmeline finishes up the last steps of her routine before walking over to me. I hand her the glass of water I was holding for her.
Thank you, Calisto.
Emmeline must notice my curiosity because she stops to look at me quizzically.
Is something the matter?
I read a little bit of that fairy tale, but never finished it. Can you tell me the whole story of the Little Mermaid?
The Little Mermaid?
Emmeline takes a seat onto one of the chairs bordering the throne room and gestures for me to take the one opposite of her.
Telling a fairy tale is always a good way to wind down.
Because I don't remember it. I don't remember the whole story of the Little Mermaid either.
Once upon a time, there was a mermaid that fell in love with a handsome prince. One day, when she swam to the surface of the ocean to find him, she saw that the prince was celebrating his birthday on the grandest ship in the kingdom. The Little Mermaid was captivated by the human party and stayed to watch. Then suddenly a violent storm hit and the prince was thrown from the ship into the ocean. The Little Mermaid saved the prince and took him safely to shore, but she could not stay long. She eventually had to return to the ocean and leave him on land.
This is similar to Vioca's rescue. Yeah, I thought so.
The Little Mermaid was so in love with the prince that she went to see a witch who offered to trade her potion that would turn her mermaid's tail into legs. They struck the deal. The mermaid would sacrifice her beautiful voice for legs so that she could live with the prince on land.
So in Rod's case, he traded away his voice to become a prince.
However, the sea witch gave the Little Mermaid a warning and said that if she wasn't able to make the prince fall in love with her, there would be consequences.
Consequences?
Yes, namely if the prince fell in love and married someone else, the mermaid's heart would break and she would dissolve into sea foam.
Oh, I cannot help but recoil. My expression must betray my horror because Emmeline quickly shakes her head.
There's no need to be worried. Rod has said that his curse is different from the fairy tale.
And you believe him? Emmeline shrugs helplessly as she puts down her now empty glass of water.
The fairy tale curse always trusts the original tale, right? Besides, it's not as if Rod traded his voice for legs, and I've never heard of a cursed person that dies because they cannot break their curse.
That may be true, but Emmeline does not know what Rod traded his voice for. Yeah, that's true. Like, I read up on Cinderella's, the Cinderella fairy tale before I played this, and the Grimm brothers are the ones that made it, dark, and the one who wrote this was Hans Grimm, or the fairy tales in this one, in this case. But there was no fairy godmother in, the Grimm fairy tale, and rather, the mother died, and then the princess planted a willow tree on her mother's grave and wept at it every day, and so the heckin' tree always made stuff fall out of this, the stuff that she wished for, and so that's how she got her stuff instead of a fairy godmother, which happened in Charles Perret's version, which is the most famous one for, like, turning the mice into horses, the lizards into, guys that do the horse things. I forgot what they're called. Coachmen! There we go. They turn the lizards into coachmen, the pumpkins into a pumpkin into a carriage, and there's a fairy godmother, and yeah. That's Charles Perret's version, and then the Grimm version is, you know, the Grimm version. She does not know that he did it to become a prince for Vioca. Rod is already hiding things from her. Is it possible that Rod will die the day Vioca marries Desmond? Didn't they already marry? Are they already married? Oh wait, no, they're fiancés. Okay. Later that day, I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be expecting the seating arrangements for the night's banquet.
He glances up briefly to look at me before returning his attention to the placards with the guest's name on him. What is it? I've been looking for you all morning. I'm distracted from what I'm about to say when I notice Rod switching the position of 2 placards. In front as I catch the name on one of them. He's moving Fiorka places at the table. Is he trying to make sure she sits as far away from him as possible? Surely have you better things to do than staying here. What happens if you cannot break your curse? Rod's move and stutter before he shakes his head up sharply. That is something you do not need to know. I'd get angry, man. Although I don't think that's the best decision. I think that's the only decision that Calisto would make. I think I'm gonna plead with him. Something aches deep in my chest at Rod's coldness. Please. Rod startles so strongly that he almost drops the placard he's holding. Please tell me. We have been partners for months now. But I barely... Yes, I know that it is an unusual partnership, that most of our helping each other has been subtle, but I'm only one good deed away from breaking my curse, while you seem to be no closer to breaking your curse than when we started. I will do whatever I can to help you with your curse, Rod. So please let me help you. Okay, she's just becoming kind. Kind. Hold on a second. I got a heckin' measuring cup full of water, so when I run out of water, I could just measure it back up. Or I could just pour the water from my measuring cup into my cup, so I don't have to go downstairs and get more water. Silence falls. Moments later, Rod sighs and looks away from me. Some unspeakably sad emotion shines through his eyes. Even if I wanted your help, Calisto, there's nothing you can do. Dread settles in the pit of my stomach at Rod's words. Could I be right? Will Rod actually die if he does not manage to break his curse? Emily told me the story of the Little Mermaid. She said that the mermaid dies if the prince marries someone else. Rod, when Fiorka marries Desmond, will you... My voice trails off when I hear the sound of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia or the king? Rod rushes towards and grabs me before I can glance back at the door. Ow! I become aware of a weight holding me down to the floor. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what's happening at first. Am I underneath the dining table? He's on top of me, man. I struggle to try and sit up, but the weight pushes me down on me again, forcing me to be still. Quiet. What? Why did he push me underneath the table? I'm about to ask him aloud when the sound of footsteps silences me. I cannot help but remember what Sir Mithras was saying about the rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the will no doubt get worse. Yay! But why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk. How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day. There's a pause, but another voice speaks up. Oh. You better have good news for me, Sir Mithras. I'm only assuming that this is Sir Alcaster and Mithras. Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras? Yeah. Rod's hand tightens on my shoulder. Everything is as you requested, Sir Alcaster. Who's in my room? Oh, it's my TV. That should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithras. I would be careful to try and not to try my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcaster. Sir Mithras sounds awfully subservient. But why? The two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mithras to obey him with a spell. I think it's the opposite. Wait a few moments after I leave. We should not be seen together. I did not hear Sir Mithras' response, but I can hear Sir Alcaster leaving the room. Sir Mithras sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithras. This is bad. I'm so engrossed in Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras' conversation that I only just now realized that Rod is hovering over me. I knew it! Fuck. Hey, are you alright? Are you hurt? You look a little... Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he's standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He's bright red. It would be funny if I wasn't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat. It seems that Mr. Alcaster really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mithras obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait! What? This is urgent, Princess. It just can't— When Viorca marries Desmond, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell that from his faint expression that he will not speak.
You're running out of time, Rod.
My eyes flip between Rod and Sebi. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Rod, there must be something in my voice that makes Rod stop because he... because he turns to look at me. Please stop running away from this. Well, knowing the answer, Chief Calisto. Rod's words are harsh, his tone is soft. There's nothing anyone can do. Leave it alone, Calisto. It's for the best. I cannot help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move forward toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You're not the only person that will be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister? To your mother? Losing you would destroy them! Rod's face is suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hands on the wall behind me, caging me in. Caledon! His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is whispered, but I can hear his words. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but when he still does nothing to try and break his curse. I do not understand him at all. What is stopping him? BB! Shit. Alrighty, I think we're good. Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day and returns only when the sun is set to prepare for the ball. I have not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he has been to the marchants, told Delora and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alcaster being a witch. I hope they come up with an effective plan for dealing with him. The palace is not safe so long as he is here. The ball is just about to start that evening, and I have been asked to make sure none of the guests are lost in wandering the hallways. I've been walking around for a while, directing any late guests in the right direction. That should be everyone. But as I turn the corner, I notice two people lingering by a column. Excuse me, the throne room is... I pause when I look more closely at the two men in front of me. I recognize one of them and instantly. What is Sir Alcaster doing outside the throne room? And who's that man he's with? Is that Waltz? Ah, Calisto. Sir Alcaster gestures towards him as I approach warily. I know that Waltz is a heckin', you know. Oh, okay. This is Varg. He is one of the guests for the ball. Varg sweeps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide his expression. I've not heard of a Varg. Why would he be bowing to a mere maid? Also, why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? So you don't recognize him, B? That is not a masquerade ball. This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance of Sir Alcaster, there is no telling what or who he truly is. Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Emmeline. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I will be along shortly. Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Wait, what did he say? Was that Sir Alcaster or... That was Alcaster. Okay, Varg hasn't spoken. Of course, Sir Alcaster. I meet Varg's gaze briefly, and I cannot help but frown at the way he's smirking at me. This way. I punch him in the fucking face, man. Varg and I make our way to the throne room. I cannot help but feel wary of the fact that he's following behind me where I cannot see him. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must truly be beautiful. Varg laughs, and I grit my teeth at the sound. What? It was meant to be as a compliment. There's no need to look at me like that. Okay. I was like, is that Fritz? And I realized Fritz has white hair. Fuck, why do I keep on checking? Varg looks at me curiously. Our maid's not allowed to speak in this place. I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on the staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn a corner, and I don't have to come up with a response to his words. We are here. I gesture toward the throne room and move to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should at the very least escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Isn't that what a maid should do? Technically, that is an announcer's job, but Varg came so late, he probably has already missed the introductions. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of the servants at this palace. I take a deep breath to calm myself before turning towards the door. He looks sketchy as fuck, man. Follow me. I can only assume that he's important. I can tell the moment I step into the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I do not trust Varg, not if he is associated with Sarcasm. I might have time to warn someone about him while he is distracted, but who? I would warn Emmeline, maybe. But I think Rod would be the most sound decision. My eyes fall on Rod. I notice that he's leaning against one of the walls away from crowds. I head directly for him, moving quickly so that Varg is not right behind me. But Rod frowns at me as I come to stand in front of him. What? There's a man here called Varg, and I think Sarcasm brought him. Sarcasm? Apparently Varg is one of the suitors for Emmeline's hand. Rod glances past me at Varg, his eyes narrowed. Is that him? Is that Varg? When I turn back and follow his line of sight, I almost gasp in shock. Varg is bent over one of Emmeline's clans. Clearly just have pressed a kiss to the back of it. You should have kept him away from Em. But Rod and I are not too far away, so we can hear him clearly, but the throne room is already hushed at the sight of the crown princess being so boldly directly across. May I have your first dance, your highness? I feel sick, but cannot bring myself to say anything more as Emmeline puts her hand in Varg's.
I accept, Lord Varg.
The moment Emmeline makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals to the band and the musicians start playing. It feels wrong. It does, man! I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Emmeline closer. God damn it! At first it's just him and Emmeline dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreaming smile on Emmeline's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one towards Emmeline. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still stand close together at the center of it. You know what? Damn it. No. This is happening. I'm pretty sure I missed it. I'm gonna warn Emmeline. My attention is quickly drawn to where Emmeline is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this will be frowned upon, but Emmeline insists you must come first. I make my way quickly over to Emmeline and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Emmeline, may I have a word? Emmeline is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks it well.
Excuse me, it appears my maid has something for me.
I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view.
I wasn't expecting you to be here, Calisto. Not that I mind, but won't you get in trouble?
There's no time for that. I take her hand in mine and look at her somberly. You have to watch out for this man in the mask. Sarcasm brought him to the ball.
Why should I be worried then?
I cannot exactly tell her that I think he's a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just please be wary of him.
I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about from anyone here, Calisto, especially if Sarcasm is involved.
On the contrary, if Sarcasm is involved, I would also recommend stay on your guard, Emmeline.
Rod?
I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing beside me. Like, where the hell? Oh, hi Tidbits. I'm using OBS right now, so I hope it's okay. We are currently on chapter 8, the ball. I've done 2 streams before this, or 3 streams, one including the prologue. So I would go recommend watch those later if you don't feel like watching it right now and missing this. So yeah, thank you for watching though. Also, hello, other person. Yeah, I normally use XSplit, but it's kind of like updated versions now, so I'm pretty sure it's okay. You should trust Calisto. Okay, it was good. Excuse me. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places his hand on my shoulder to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a moment, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Emily, a wolfish smile on his face. God damn it. My name is Varg, and you must be Princess Emmeline. The tales of your beauty did not do you justice. Emmeline flushes as Varg reaches for her hands. He presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. I would too, man. May I have the first dance? Emmeline bites down on her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She cannot refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick, but cannot bring myself to say anything more as Emmeline puts her hand in Varg's.
I accept, Lord Varg.
The moment Emmeline makes her way to the center of the dance room, a man signals to the bands and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. This feels wrong. I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Emmeline closer. At first it was just him and Emmeline dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. It'll just be on my channel, because I have other streams pulled up, too. So, yeah! I hope that says stuff. Yeah. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. Oh, I just recently made a playlist of all of the sessions I've done. So hopefully you can find that easily. It'll just be in my playlist section. Don't mind the other stuff in there. I totally don't know what's public and what's not. Okay. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Emmeline's face, as I certainly can. When the music stops, both of us move his wing toward Emmeline. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sarcasm, along with 2 knights, stalk into the center of the room where Emmeline and Varg stand. Their arrival causes an uneasy stir in the crowds. The king rises from his throne, eyebrows drawn. Alcaster, is there some kind of disturbance? Alcaster says nothing as the knights stationed around the room approach Emmeline and Varg and stand around. Varg stand around them, encircling them. Emmeline's expression shifts from confusion to fear. The crowd becomes even more anxious. Alcaster, explain this. Alcaster briefly glances at him, but says nothing. He turns back to his... What the fuck? He turns back to his knights and snaps his fingers. The knights pull out their swords and point them at Emmeline. What the hell? He tries to grab Rod's hand before he can make his way towards her. Rod, this is too dangerous. I know, but thoughtless actions have the potential to put Emmeline in even more danger. Rod's only response is to tighten his grip on my hand. I place my other hand over his to reassure him, but slowly... What the hell? I think I just heard a voice. And slowly but surely, his grip begins to loosen. I turn my gaze back to the king. Alcaster, stop this immediately! What do you think you're doing? Where do I find the video after I record it? What do you find? Okay. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay, I thought you were talking about this video. I'm sorry. Something I should have done a long time ago. I have been nothing but loyal to this kingdom, and all I have ever wanted was for Ongiel to thrive. But ever since the queen died, the kingdom has become weak. It is because you were a weak ruler, Gennaro. What? The people were more productive back then, were disciplined during the late queen's reign. The kingdom has become less productive without the fear to drive them. When there is power, there is order. Power is not something that should be needlessly used to control people. It is used to protect them. You, of all people, should know that. Sarcasm shakes his head. I, of all people, know that order is what makes a hierarchy stronger. I'm only doing what is necessary. I'm reorganizing the system. Hand over the crown, Gennaro. Sarcasm turns his head to Varg, who remains standing beside a stare at Emmeline. You will obey me if you do not want your precious daughter harmed.
Please, leave my daughter out of this.
Leave my daughter out of this. Emmeline steps back, her eyes now brimming with tears. Varg, seize the princess. As soon as Sarcasm gives the order, Rod immediately lets go of my hand and rushes towards his sister. Rod, no! I quickly follow after him, but Rod suddenly stops in his tracks. I bump abruptly into his back. What? Varg! Sarcasm's booming voice echoes around the room, which has suddenly gone eerily silent. My eyes move to Varg, but he's standing motionless. What is happening? Finally, Marg spurts. He steps to the side, standing in front of Emmeline as if to block her from view.
Sir Varg. Sir Varg.
You must be delusional, old man. I'm not letting you get anywhere near the princess.
Okay, bye!
Bye! The knight's next movements are a blur as they rush at Sir Alcaster. In mere moments he has been disarmed and pinned to the ground. Several more knights has also appeared from behind to surround Sir Alcaster. A man emerges from in between the circle of knights, who moves to stand between Varg and Emmeline. Sir Mithros looks at Sir Alcaster disdainfully. What is the meaning of this, Miss Rose? We had a deal. The anger is now palpable on Sir Alcaster's flushed face. Did we now? Miss Rose, explain yourself. Sir Mithros drops to one knee in front of the king. Of course, your majesty. He raises his head slightly to look at the king. I have known for a long while that the man you see before you is a traitor. I was even aware of his plans, but I could not tell you of them without any evidence. Two of your knights have tried to inform you of these plans before, but we all looked down on them in disdain. I had to make sure that I did not come unprepared like they did. Jury and Garland?
What? Both of them knew of Sir Alcaster's plans? Was that the reason why they were so dishonorably discharged for false accusations?
I knew enough of his plan that I could thwart it. And this is why I thought the best way to reveal his dastardly ways was to craft a fake alliance with him. Sir Varg and I have been working together to unravel Sir Alcaster's plans, your majesty. Varg is an invaluable accomplice.
Wait, so Sir Mithros has been pretending to work with Sir Alcaster this whole time?
And so we arrive at the events of tonight. I apologize for undertaking this task without seeking your counsels, your majesty. But I could think of no better way to end this madness once and for all. You lying snake! Sir Mithros stands and turns to Alcaster. He gestures at them dismissively. Seize them. The knight's next movements are a blur. Again! The men rush Sir Alcaster all at once in mere moments. What the hell?
Isn't Sir Alcaster a witch? Isn't Sir Alcaster a witch? Why is he not using his magic?
Mithros, I am indebted to you for saving us. The whole kingdom. Mithros is the witch, man! I only did what was necessary, your majesty. The king glances at the knights, then at Sir Alcaster, his gaze steely. Take him away. Sir Alcaster struggles uselessly against the knights as they drag him away. He is nearly out the door when he starts screaming at the king. Gennaro, you are a fool! That man is a witch, a snake! You cannot trust him! No, Alcaster, I was wrong to put my trust in you. Even as Sir Alcaster is pulled away, we can hear him babbling in the hallways about a witch.
Sir Alcaster never used any magic to escape. Was he truly not a witch?
Are you alright, princess? I'm pulled away from my thoughts when I hear Varg's voice. He is now trying to comfort a shaken Emmeline. For a few moments he looks away and his eyes meet mine. He smiles, but it is fleeting, and moments later his attention is back on Emmeline. What the hell, man? The ball comes to an abrupt end after Alcaster's stunt. He's thrown into a jail cell and promised a trial after a few days' time where he will be tried for treason against the kingdom.
I still can't believe Sir Alcaster would do something like that, and so brazenly too. I wonder, what happened to Sir Fitzgerald? They say he vanished completely last night. Do you think he was working with his father?
The truth is that I have no idea what to think.
I thought I'd had everything figured out, but I would become more and more confused by the moment. Fritz was always loyal to a fault, but then Sarcasm was the same way with King. I had not seen or heard of it Fritz for weeks. I really could not say. Ah, good morning, Prince Emily.
Sir Varg.
Varg was offered a room at the palace for a few days' visit. He's being treated as Sir Mithra's valued guest. I've heard from the other servants that he is Sir Mithra's relative who lives in a neighboring kingdom. I can believe that. Oh, I see. I just haven't used it for a long time. Okay. Thank you! I hope that you're feeling well now, Princess.
Yes, thank you for your help last night.
Is Emily blushing? I know I won't be here long, but I do hope to get to know you better during the duration of my stay. I don't have a voice for him, honestly.
I would love that.
But I'm looking forward to spending more time with you.
Oh! I forgot that I'm meant to be in my mother's room right now. Calisto, Sir Varg, I'll see you both later.
I curtsy as Emmeline washes off, leaving me alone with Varg. I cannot help but feel uneasy in his presence. Something about him puts me on edge. Yeah, I would too. He makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, what's up with this fucking mask? Excuse me, I have errands to tend to. Wait. Before you head out, I have something to give you. Give me? Varg reaches into one of his pockets and withdraws a letter that he hands out to me. Huh. What is this about? Well, I guess you'll have to open it and find out, Princess. Oh, my blood turns to ice in my veins. He knows I'm the princess. That could only mean that he's... I have no idea what you're talking about. Excuse me. I'm about to leave when Varg suddenly grabs my wrist. The play is just about to start, Princess. You have a responsibility as the main character to perform impeccably until the very end. Otherwise, well... He grins at me. It's the same wolfish smile that he flashed at me during the ball. You might miss out on your fairy tale ending. What? Before I can say anything else, I feel a hand grip my other arm. Someone tugged me back away from its rod. Someone tugs me back and away from Varg, then comes to stand in front of me. Stay away from her. What? Varg looks at Rod and then at me, his smile growing more crooked. What an interesting turn of events. I wonder how this will end for the both of you. Tell me, Calisto, what is he to you? I feel like if I say he's a friend, I won't get anything. No answer, Be in denial all you want. At the end of the day, you're going to have to choose who and what you will choose. Who or what to choose? Silence. You're harassing one of our staff members. Of course. I apologize for my rude behavior, your highness. You seem to know a lot about us. Are you a... I lower my voice. Are you a witch? You're asking the wrong person, princess. He knows who you really are. Yeah, I do want to talk to you guys. Hold on, let me read this. You can do like a window capture to get just the game. Just this game in the OBS and not your entire screen. For where you don't have to full screen the game, you can have a pop-out chat so you can see us talking to you. Okay. I think you two are worrying too much about me. After all, I'm just a pawn in this game. Varg dips into an elegant bow and flashes one last smile before walking away. Are you alright? I am. Thank you for helping me. You know I'd do anything for you. What?
What?
Rod shakes his head before stepping away. Anything. For me? Rod coughs, pulling me from the thought. It is possible that he's a witch, or that he's working with other witches, but we have no evidence to prove it. I want buttered toast right now. Like, that sounds really good. Until we figure out what's going on, you need to be wary of him. I know. Rod smiles at me gently. The looks makes my heart thud once painfully in my chest. His smile looks weird. Stop staring at me like that, fucking idiot. God damn it. Rod looks away, his cheeks tinge red. I feel my own cheeks warm at the sight. I wasn't staring at all. It's too fucking soon that I is talking.
Both of you are hopeless.
Shut up, Sebi. Ron gives me one last look before finally turning and walking away. I place my hand over my chest where I can still hear my thudding heartbeat. This feeling. If it is what I think it is, then I have no right to feel that way about him. He's my stepbrother. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. I shake my head to clear the thought, then glance down at the letter that Varg just delivered to me. There's only one sentence written on it. Come to the throne room alone tonight. Chapter 9, The Wedding. So I'm gonna stop it right there. That seems like a good place to stop. I'm gonna do that. So, thank you for watching this. It seems like it's very lively today. And I'm pretty happy about that because, you know, I haven't had a very lively stream in a while. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm gonna continue this on Monday because my stream schedule is Mondays and Thursdays every week from 9 p.m. to until whenever I feel like stopping, which is normally around 10:30. It is 10:51 right now. So it's normally from 9 to 11 p.m. I normally have my face cam on. Hopefully I can get XSplit to work again. If not, then I'm just gonna continue using OBS. And I hope you guys don't mind that. Catch me at the throne room. Okay. Thank you for watching this, and I hope to see you guys maybe on Monday. Yay! Okay. Bye!